Welcome to this ITTF Intertribal Task Force sponsored discussion on Native American business opportunities with the Wisconsin Department of Transportation. My name is Kevin Chesnick. I am an Oneida Nation tribal member and the former chief engineer for the Wisconsin Department of Transportation. I will act as your guide today as we explore critical knowledge needed to be successful as an NADBE, or Native American Disadvantaged Business Enterprise firm in Wisconsin. This is the third vignette of a 5-session set of webinars that provides critical information, contacts, policy guidance, and several Native American firm stories on working for the Wisconsin Department of Transportation. The goal of the presentations is to encourage new Native American firms to begin working in the transportation industry, provide the process and steps required to become a certified DBE firm in Wisconsin, and to list the available support resources firms are able to access to find work, compete for projects successfully, and become valuable members in the transportation industry. Vignette number 1 concentrated on the information needed to become a certified NADBE. Vignette number 2 provided an overview of project plans, construction specifications knowledge needed to be a successful NADBE firm. Vignette number 3 will discuss winning WSDOT contracts by working with prime contractors. Vignette number 4 will review details of being a contractor, including labor compliance, special provisions, trucking, payroll, and getting paid. Vignette number 5 will discuss ways to grow your NADBE capacity and do more work through support services offered by Wisconsin Department of Transportation. The goal today is to learn more about the very important relationships between primes and subcontractors and how to develop and establish long-term business relationships. On the screen, you'll see today's agenda. We'll be hearing from Matt Grove, Wisconsin Transportation Builders Association, Mary Dvorak from Hard Rock Sawing and Drilling, and Ann Nishek, Vice President of Arrow Creek Construction, LLC. Our first speaker today, Matt Grove of WTBA, will provide a prime contractor's perspective on how the prime and subcontractor relationship actually works. Our second speaker today, Mary Dvorak of Hard Rock Sawing and Drilling, will provide her perspective on working with prime contractors. Our third speaker today, Ann Nishek, Vice President of Arrow Creek Construction, LLC, will share her experience working with prime contractors. I hope you find this presentation interesting and useful to you. Our first presenter, Matt Grove, is ready to start. Matt?
Thanks, Kevin. Hi, my name is Matt Grove, and I'm the Director of Construction and Engineering Policy at the Wisconsin Transportation Builders Association. The state of Wisconsin has a long history of quality highways and roads and a strong highway construction and maintenance program performed by privately owned highway construction companies and county maintenance crews. In recent years, state legislators have failed to provide adequate funding to maintain and improve this infrastructure, which is essential to economic growth and user safety. A decreased highway program has led to historically low contracting and engineering opportunities within the state. This has created a highway contracting industry that is working at low margins while being forced to accept more business risk. While contracting opportunities still exist within the state highway program, it has become more difficult and less attractive for new companies to attempt to compete within the industry. Risk and responsibility has been passed on to the highway contractors from WSDOT, making it essential to understand and protect against the pitfalls within highway contracting. While larger, well-established companies have the ability to become pre-qualified and secure bonding to bid as a prime contractor, most smaller companies find themselves engaged as a subcontractor or providing a service such as trucking. WSDOT only holds a prime contract and does not typically get involved in prime contractor and subcontractor relations. State law and WSDOT provide very little protection for subcontractors and suppliers in circumstances where contractual disputes arise between them and the prime contractor. WSDOT takes a position that they have one contract and one contract only with the prime contractor. A few exemptions do exist. For first-tier subcontractors, these include lien rights and unpaid proceeds and payment within 10 days of payment to the prime contractor from WSDOT. When working on WSDOT projects, there are significant additional responsibilities that a contractor must be aware of. It is essential to understand all federal requirements such as Davis-Bacon and certified payroll reporting requirements. ASP 7 and ASP 9 contain requirements for payment reporting and certified payrolls. Understanding and being in compliance with these provisions will help build a strong relationship with prime contractors and will decrease your overhead and increase your cash flow. To protect your company, it is also very important to understand all state and local laws and regulations related to doing business, such as insurance and tax requirements. There are numerous resources available to navigate this complicated system, but understanding and conforming to the requirements does not come without effort and assistance. Communication with primes is extremely important. Prior to performing work, find venues and set up meetings to introduce yourself to potential prime contractors so they are confident that you are capable of performing and know who you are when they receive a quote. Discuss what type of work you do and what they are looking for, where quotes should be sent, and how bid items or work within the quote should be packaged, and other scoping information. Your requirements must be reasonable or you risk losing the work. This should be discussed prior to actually quoting. These type of formal or informal meetings also provide an opportunity to discuss potential work opportunities elsewhere. During the quoting processes, it is also important to give thought to antitrust and collusion laws, professional ethics, and confidentiality to protect your relationship with prime contractors. If a prime has selected you to work with them on a project, it is extremely important to have a written agreement that outlines the scope of the work to be performed. This includes what is and isn't included in your quote, how you will be paid, and what schedule and notification requirements you may have. Subcontractor will also address how retainage will be handled. Oftentimes, the prime may not accept all of your desired language. This is their prerogative, but it is important to get concerns on the table so you can negotiate terms of the agreement that are acceptable for you to perform the work. After securing work with a prime, you must build a relationship with appropriate project individuals and have honest, consistent communication during and after the project. Attending the pre-construction meeting is an opportunity to meet the individuals that will be on the project and shows that you are dedicated to the project and performance of your agreement. If you have concerns regarding any aspect of the project, you feel that things are not going as expected, it is essential that you let your prime contractor know as soon as possible. Many times this must be done in writing. Relatively simple expectation of subcontractors by primes. They expect that you perform acceptable work on time and without incident. It is not reasonable to expect that everything will go perfect, and at times there will be disputes of scope of work and payment with the prime. Once again, this is why it is essential to communicate and keep detailed project records and written communication to minimize time and dollars lost when issues arise. There are many requirements and expectations when working as a highway contractor or supplier. It is essential that you are an expert in your field and fully understand all contractual requirements. The WIS.HCCI site provides a tremendous amount of information in numerous different documents and manuals. By studying this information, being active in industry and WIS.dot events, and communicating with prime contractors, you can gain the knowledge necessary to understand the contractual requirements and risks involved in highway contracting, and significantly increase your opportunities and potential to be a successful, profitable business. At this point, I'd like to turn the presentation over to Mary Dvorak.
Thank you, Matt. This is Mary Dvorak, and I own Hard Rock Sawing and Drilling Specialist Company. As you had seen in one of Matt's previous slides, he has said the subcontractors are responsible for their specific work items. For Hard Rock Sawing and Drilling, we have 3 specific work items that we look at, as I had said before: mobilization, and our asphalt, and our concrete sawing. So the weeks before the letting come to effect, we are out calling, starting ready for that next letting. We're looking at the Bid Express, going over to see what's out there for us to do. To get these bids ready, our prime contracts will fax me, email me, and mail me requests for our quotes as they are required to do as I am a DBE. We also call if we notice that we didn't get anything from them and ask them if they are looking at any of the state projects out for bid that they might have pulled plans on. If we get the yes, then we are getting ready to put our saw prices together. We go through the Bid Express and we read our forms and we look at our spec books for the sawing, cutting, pay items. And we do this all up before Friday, and we get them all typed up and ready to go for Monday morning. We fax our quotes to all prime contractors, as that is how they would like us to do this for them. And after we fax the quotes to them, we keep all of our fax receipts showing that I did fax it and saying that they did receive my fax. As being a DBE, I kind of do a little bit more things to make sure that the DB office knows that I am sending out my quotes. The Monday after sending these quotes out, I fax all my quotes to poor Rosalind at the DBE office to show that I did my due diligence in getting my quotes out to the prime contractors. And then I also send out all the quotes and the numbers of quotes I sent out to the Native American Indian Chamber so that they know that I am keeping up with what they are expecting me to do as a DBE. So after the quotes are sent out and the primes got them, we start waiting for them to put their bids into the state. We find out the day after the letting. We go on the online and check to see who the low bidders were for the letting on all state projects. We kind of look at what's going on and say, okay, maybe we're kind of thinking of what we got going on. The second day, the pay items are released, so this we know for sure if our numbers were close, a little higher, a little lower, and if we're in the ball game or if we're out of the ball game. We check that quote numbers with what the primes had posted in the BidX and the bulletin points. After getting a contract from the prime contractors, the first thing they usually send me through email or fax is to have me sign my Attachment A, as this is very important for them to get done within a few days after getting awarded the contract. I also will then get my contract in the mail. Sometimes they come email, and I will start getting my certificate of insurance ordered for them, getting the wording that they need, everybody that needs to be additional insured on the projects. Get that signed and get that back to the prime as soon as I can. After they send that out to us, then our work begins when they tell us the project is ready. They try to call us at least 5 days before the start of the project if we happen not to make it the pre-con meeting. Not all pre-con meetings are essential to me at times unless there's a lot of sawing on them, because sometimes I'm only quoting 27 linear feet of sawing, so I think it's just them giving us a call telling us when we need to be out there and we being there on time. Normally we get the call from the project manager who works in the office. He will call us in, tell us when they would like us out there. At that time we ask them who their project manager or their foreman is on site, so my man can have a contact number of who will be out there giving him directions on where to work. We go over the time of what we want to be on the job, 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning when they have their traffic controls ready for us. We go out, perform the job. After the job is performed, there are a few other things that I need to do, like Matt had said. I need to enter payroll on the CRC, which needs to be done within 10 days of doing your work. And once a payment is received, I must go and confirm that I did receive a payment from the prime contractor. As for the saw cutters, we are normally the first people out on the road to saw it before anything else can get out. So wrap-up work usually for us is at the end of the project, and sometimes it can be very long. But we go over our final quantities of what was sawed with our prime contractor and with the engineer's measurements. We go over if there was any incidental work that wasn't on the contract for us to saw, but might have came up through the work throughout the days that they needed some extra sawing, and so then that would be paid different than on the pay estimate. Then we go over my quantities with Wisconsin DOT or whoever the engineer may be on that project. We agree on what the quantities are. Sometimes we're a little less off, and sometimes we're a little over, so we always accommodate each other. I sign off on my finals. I sign off on lien waivers, and I am finished with that project for that contractor. At this time, I'd like to present Ann Neshek, Vice President of Aerocrete Concrete, LLC.
Thank you, Mary. I'm Ann Neshek, Vice President of Aerocrete Construction, LLC. I'd like to share our experience in working with prime contractors on WSDOT projects. Bidding on a WSDOT project is a lot more than just submitting a bid to a prime contractor and hoping you get the work. You need to learn who the prime contractors are and what type of work they specialize in. Going to conferences like the annual WSDOT DBE Workshop and Secretary's Golden Shovel Awards Conference held in February allows you to meet one-on-one with the primes. Talking to the prime contractors, you can learn how your company can fit into one of their projects. Another place you can meet prime contractors is at the annual WTBA meeting in Middleton, Wisconsin in January. At this conference, many of the WSDOT prime contractors are in attendance, as well as project engineers and WSDOT staff. You can talk with them during the classes, at lunch, at the networking reception, or at the awards banquet. This is a great way to talk one-on-one with the prime contractors in a more relaxed yet business setting. WSDOT also holds pre-bid meetings for some of their larger projects. At these meetings, you can learn more about the project you're about to bid on and network with the prime contractors that will be bidding on the project. We've learned over the years that you need to know what the prime contractors are really asking you to bid on. What I mean by this is, for the concrete work that we do, we often bid our work to prime contractors that specialize in concrete work, grading contractors, asphalt contractors, bridge builders, and sewer contractors. Each one of these types of prime contractors may be looking for us to bid on different types of work. For example, the concrete paving contractor may want us to bid on all of the concrete work except for the concrete paving work. The only way to know what the prime contractor wants you to bid on is to communicate with them as much as possible. You may need to increase the types of work you perform to meet the prime contractor's needs on a project. This increase in your scope of work can help you grow your business to adapt to the current market needs. Once you're awarded a subcontract, you should attend the pre-construction meeting for the project. This is where you can meet the prime contractor's project manager, the project inspectors, and the other subcontractors on the project. You'll learn more about the schedule of work and how and when your work fits into the project. Once you know your work will be coming up soon on a project, you should start going to the weekly project meetings. There you will learn more about when and where your work will start and the time frame you have to complete your work. You will also learn about any obstacles that other contractors may have encountered on the project before you arrive on the job. At the end of the project, you need to verify your quantities of work and submit any documents that the project engineer is missing. If your quantities differ from the paid quantities, you may need to meet with the prime contractor or project inspector to explain what was missed. This is the only way you'll get paid for all the work you completed. In the end, the prime contractor is your customer, and WSDOT is the prime contractor's customer. You need to keep them both happy so you can work with them on future projects. Thanks for listening to me. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me by phone or email below. Now I'll turn it over to Kevin Chesnick.
Thanks, Ann. Well, as you can tell from what you heard today, the key component, the key takeaway is building relationships, communicating with prime contractors. They're really your lifeblood on how to get work and do work correctly, get paid, and all those details. So we can't stress enough that listening to this information gives you some insight as to how you go about building those relationships with prime contractors. I really want to thank our presenters today, Mr. Matt Grove from Wisconsin Transportation Builders Association, Mary Dvorak, from Hard Rock Sawing and Drilling, and Ms. Ann Nashek from Arrow Creek Construction LLC. Today is this has been our third webinar. I want to thank all of you that had a chance to review this presentation, and I look forward to seeing you on our fourth webinar, which should be up on the website shortly. Thank you.